In Poso right now, there is two major resources of violence. First is about the terrorism issue that's continue for the where the radicalizations in Poso. And then second one is the impact of the military and police presence right now. So in Poso, there is Poso is like a really small city, but for now there is 12 military aircrafts, two warships, and 3,000 and around 3,000 personnel of Army, Navy, and Air Force troops that's trying to have like a military training. But the problem is not that the military trainings, but the impact for the military training for the people, because last 3 months there is the impact is first. There's like 6 villages who are now like refuge or evacuate from their village and have no access to food and other stuff, and until now there is still like attack between the police and militants. So the trauma because of the events, but also the hunger of the people. Yeah.
Okay. How do you do what you do, and how do you separate politics from religion? What is your model, and how have you been so successful in what you do?
We are start from our daily experience actually, because before the conflict we are living in harmony where we can marriage between Muslim and Christians and still respect each other, and we are also neighbor and other stuff. So when the conflicts happens, there is like elections where the identity of politics become very strong. So religions used by the politicians to make people mobilize themselves to choose once more. So we believe that we still have the experience where we can support each other even during the conflict, where Muslims can support the Christians and other stuff. So we think that religions is our spiritual things that that teach us to support each other, but the politicians sometimes using it to for their own benefit. Because of that, so we think to open the safe place for the women to meet each other from the different religions and ethnicities, because we believe because of the conflict there is like a hegemonic discourse that conflict also is a religious conflict, but we believe it's not a religious conflict, it's more about the politics interest. So and then there is like stories from the women who never told by the media, the story of the women who they help each other during the conflict, the story when they like make the others' life matter, even though they're different, come from different religions. So we need to like make these stories speak out to the media, and then to make our own histories during the conflict. And that's why we open the women's school, where the women from different religions meet each other and tell their own story. Ask questions about anything, and including to learn about each other, and then including to like make them more focused. That's even though we come from different religions, but we are a human being who can help each other. So why is successful? I think it's because we believe that we have already the stories, and we just need to like make it become more speakable to the audience, and to between ourselves, to dismantling the trauma and suspicious. We need to tell the stories from the grassroots. That's why the women's school is not only teach about the religions and about each other, like Christians learn about Muslims, Muslims learn about Christians, and also about the Hindus, but also learn about the politicals about their rights. So they change their positions from the victims. Women as a victims, become survivors, but also from the survivors become a peace agency, become the advocates. The story of so many women from the grassroots who are really hate Muslims, Christians, but because of the women's school, they're starting to understand each other. But they even know how to dealing with the domestic violence in their household, but also to advocate the case in their village, like advocate the rape case, the domestic violence of others. So I think, open space, open the safe space for the women is really important. Start to make women engage each other and to give them opportunity to speak their own stories, to make their own stories during the conflict. So, and then for me, it's really good to make the baseline is like not only to teach women as to know their rights, but to be the independent citizens. So they are not have a power to be to controlling the resource, but to give this knowledge and skills to help citizens. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. There have been recent changes in the law, I understand, and I refer to the village law, which basically moves decision-making from the district to the provincial level. There is concern that communities and women in particular won't be able to voice their opinion, concerns about their rights in the provincial dialogue. Is this something you are interested in? Similarly, in India, I think at the village panchayat level, we have 33% reservation for women. But when we implemented that in India, to begin with, women used to go home, get directions from their husbands, and go back to the panchayat. But now, as women are becoming more aware in India, they are becoming more vocal, and they're beginning to really voice their own opinions. Is this your experience here?
Yeah, so we are now, in the women's school, we are moved from the issue of only as a peace building, but also for the justice, because now Indonesia has a village law, and the village law gives us opportunity to give a women's to more fight for their own rights, starting from the village. So now in the women's grassroots, so usually the women only know how to manage the household. They teach usually in PKK, we call it PKK, I don't know in English, but in PKK usually they teach women to behave women in the household. But they are not really a focus on how the women can fight for their own rights, not only in the household, but also can contribute to the society. So in the women's school, we are now working to introduce to the women about the village law, about how women can engage, can participate in decision making. So they are can know how to planning the development, implementing the development, and also to have a monitoring and evaluation in development. So I believe that because women is the one who live in the village. Women knows who is in the village who sick, which house who are not have water and other stuff. So women know all of this business in the village, but for such a long time, women have no opportunity to decide about their own life, to decide about what kind of development we want in the village. So in this law village, we want the women not only talk about their household, but to make decisions about what kind of development they want to in their village. So they're trying to decide, the mapping their village, they decide about how this water, how this health system and education can doing well in the village. So for that, in the women's school, we are trying to also teach them, but also to make them have a skill. And then I think I should remind that not to control the resource, but to make the power or the knowledge and skills to give to the citizen. That's why we call it, it's not as independent women, but it's independent citizens. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And now I want to ask a final question. We were talking to you the other day, and you were talking about the fact that you have set up a radio and newspaper that talks about women's issues. It's very interesting idea. Tell us how many women you are reaching currently, and what are the kind of issues that you are touching on in your newspaper and your radio programs?
Okay, thank you. So we have already third batch of women's school. The first batch is reached in 14 villages. The second batch is in 24 villages, and now we have third batch of women's schools in the 37 villages. So all the participants come from different religions and ethnicities. The idea of newspaper, women's newspaper, is to creating alternative media who comes from the grassroots people, who tell about the daily lives, who matter for the peoples, not about the high, about who make a statement, who make things, but what is matter for the people in the grassroots in the village. For example, what village who have no water, what village who have no electricity, how about the health system, and then why we have this kind of disease and other stuff. So this kind of things is matter for the women, and then we analyze, we think, and we write about it. So this newspaper is also write down by the women. So they're starting to learn how to write and to report, to analyze and other stuff, to make this become a matter to all of the society. So now we are spread the newspaper to around 70 villages around Poso. And I think also the idea of the newspaper is to creating a more diverse media, because now we are open, but I think media is sometimes only in the general, the headline is big issue, but not about the grassroots things.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Lian. I think that, as you know, let's give her a round of applause, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing your story.